books that are amazing. I highly recommend you get them. 7 Guaranteed Steps to Spiritual, Family, and Financial Success Guide. Even if you're not starting a business, but you have a job, or you're on welfare, it can help you if you do. Be doers of the word, all right? From rage to responsibility. From rage. That's what I write about in the first chapter, especially how I overcame. Scam. How the black leadership exploits black Americans. They are using them, and blacks are too willing to be used. And then my last book, The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. They are all amazing books, and they are helpful. Go to rebuildingtheman.com if you want an autographed copy, or call 800-411-2663. So, here's what I recommend. I invite you to download my silent prayer, and I want you to start doing it. You just download it, get the points of how to do it, and then after a while, you just do it on your own. It's going to point you in the right direction that your life will be returned to you from God. He will give you your life back, because anyone and all people who has anger, they're not themselves. You are the person that you are angry at. That's why it's so important to get to know yourself so that you can see who you're angry at. And if you're doing the hooping and hollering prayers and things like that, some people get up, oh, praise the Lord, hoop and holler, bless my mama, bless my daddy. Continue to do it. Do both. You will see if you want to stay with the hooping and hollering, or do you want to be still and know God. So my gift to you, no charge, at rebuildingtheman.com/church. Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room,
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border, and then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby. This is my show. Thanks for tuning in, folks, on this fine Wednesday. It's like Thursday, Friday. What the? Going by fast, but I see all of you here, and I do appreciate it. Because we got a bit of a show to get into. Got plenty of things to get into. And I'm seeing you rolling in, okay? So we're saying hello. Call it manners. Call it what you want, okay? Really, call it whatever you want. Call it whatever you want, but I'm saying hello. What do you call it? What do you call it? Thanks for the, you say, cool shirt, Punchy TV. Get yours. JesseLeePeterson.shop. But I see all my people here on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby, punchy.tv/Anchor Baby. And, of course, the people here on YouTube. How you doing, everybody? We got a bit of show to get into, and I got to say hello to the folks. Leave a comment. Say hello. Click the like button. I mean, call it what you want. Right? Call it what you want. Man or something else. Okay, you're here. I've said hello. You want to call in. Some of you are already calling in. That's 888-775-3773. Common courtesy. Okay. Yep. True. That's 888-775-3773. Okay. So you go ahead, call in while we get into the show here. In fact, we got people here. Let's see how we do this. You know, usually we jump in, but we've been showing love to the calls. And I got all this stuff I want to get into. Man, these 8 women, I saw Trump talking about it, right? He was like, they're going to execute 8 women. Well, they asked Trump about it, and he's like, tell that to the Pope. He's like, Mr. President, what do you think about this news? They're going to execute these protesters in Iran and use the agencies, the human rights groups around the world have been saying that that's been happening. But the latest is like incoming 8. They're about to execute 8 women, the 8 women of Iran. I heard about pragmatic things. Might even get into that too. The 8 women of Iran, and so the world's apoplectic, and there's some interesting things. Some people are a little suspicious looking at these pictures of these women. They're like looking at the pictures and they're wondering, they're like, do they know that? Does she know she's an ad? Does she know she's an ad? They don't believe it. They think they're AI generated. And there's some interesting things about that. So, I mean, look, there's so much to get into. Blockades of nukes, free speech. Man, there's actually so much. So let's jump into some of it. We got to say hello to the calls. 888-775-3773. How you doing, Rick? Hampton, Virginia. Got to tell us about...
Brother Nick, what's up with you, man?
I'm sure you're here to tell us about the results and what happened.
Oh, you better know it, man. You know the yeses won, man. So
I did hear about
they
that.
want the demon. Yeah, the Democrats won. So now it goes from 6 Democrats to, at first it was 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans. Now by them winning yesterday, it goes to 10 Democrats and 1 Republican.
Oh, yeah.
That's if it stands up. That's if it stands up in court, if you will. So
that's true.
The thing about that is, but see, here's what kills me with liberals. Now they complain about the woman's taxes, and yet they go vote. They still go vote for the programs. You know what I mean? They got to be insane.
They're convinced.
I don't know, man.
They got this justification that it's, well, the Republicans did it, and they got this justification in their minds that they're combating the evil. And they write it in the language. It's supposed to be temporary. This is supposed to be this temporary.
I don't believe
shape.
that, man.
But I think they betray themselves by even putting that in the language, because they try to make it sound like, well, you're allowed to do this, but what is it that you're temporarily doing? Well, you're temporarily going against, like, people voted for this president, for example, and to try and switch things up. So then you're giving yourself the ability to temporarily muck up what they love, democracy and all that, right? And they'll say, well, they started gerrymandering first and all that, but they're who brought in all the illegals? That's why they're doing that in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, that's an insane crime. This demographic change, but please.
Good point there, Nick. But guess what? No one brings it up. Actually, the Democrats started gerrymandering back in 2020 with Illinois and New York. No one ever brings that up. So that's why Trump came and said, hey, y'all guys do the same thing. They bringing in illegal immigrants, like you said, and plus, they started it back in 2020. No one ever mentions that. I don't understand how come some Republicans don't mention that. It's like conservatives we always on defense. You ever notice that there, Nick?
That's true. You got to play
on defense, man.
The framework. There seems to be. I'm going to get into this this Catholic school thing in America, the Supreme Court case. I'm going to get into this later. But even with that case, see, what the Catholic schools are trying to fight is that, well, they're being discriminated, right? They're being discriminated. They don't get funds because they don't sign this paper saying, yeah, well, we equally allow any student of any gender, religion, race to enter their Catholic establishment, right? But when you see the arguments, they have to argue in the liberal framework. They have to say, well, it's wrong because discrimination is wrong, as opposed to saying, well, we have the right to discriminate because that's our free speech and right to association, etc. So they still have to play the left game. But anyways,
But Nick, on the same question though, Why don't nobody say that the Democrats, they started it with illegal immigration, and also they started it back in 2020 with Illinois and New York. Why don't anybody say anything about that? Wish they did. I got this Google up once the last time.
I think the Republic. I think that's their sticking point. That this is they're responding to the illegals and all that. So
that's what I would say. I would say because Joe Biden let them in. Y'all trying to get them to vote. Plus, also, you guys started it in 2020 in Illinois and what's that, New York. And the only thing Trump says, y'all do what they're doing. Because Trump saw them doing it, you know?
No, it is, yeah. It's political. It's political strategy. I mean, you could go on either side, but I think they did the bigger crime, trying to change up the country. But Rick, last thing you want to say on this, sir?
Hey, I guess with all this, since what happened, we lost yesterday. But for some reason, I think the Supreme Court may rule that unconstitutional. But then again, if they do Virginia, they're going to want them to do Texas. Which they did the same thing. But actually, both parties are guilty of it. Both parties are. And the proper time supposed to be done is every 10 years, we're doing a census count. But the Democrats are always trying to find some way to cheat with the immigrant, and they trying to gerrymander, which they started it by them controlling the media. People don't. You have a lot of uninformed voters out there. That's what you have. A lot of uninformed voters.
I heard it was close, Rick. Was it?
Yeah, it was like 50 to about 49 point something.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then they take an inch and then take a mile, as they say, or whatever. Start bringing it. I heard there's this huge immigrant populations in Virginia, and when you do that, it just becomes like this like race war. Like, how do I get these ethnic groups, pit them against this other ethnic group?
But you know what though? It's the Democrats that keep a lot of division going because you can't have one religion because they want everybody in. You can't never have just like Islam. When you go to an Islamic country, Islam is the religion. That's the bottom line.
Rick, man, thanks. Appreciate that. Can you call me again?
Okay, appreciate that. Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Nick. Love you guys and brothers and sisters. Keep hope alive. Let's do what's right.
Take care, Rick. Right on.
Yes, sir, brother Nick.
Call me again. 888-775-3773. I definitely heard that on the JLP show. Rick's been sounding the alarm. He's been ringing the alarm. He's like, I knew they were gonna redistrict it, but I heard it was close, so I guess I really didn't know. I don't know anything. But these 8 women, man, let's talk about these 8 women, and we're going to get back to calls here. 888-775-3773. I see your calls coming in. We're going to get to everybody. But Trump is calling on Iran, release the 8 women who are reportedly set to hang. Set to be hanged. Right? Hanged. We learned this in show of goodwill ahead of peace negotiations. And that's the story. You see the ladies here. Protesters. I mean, that's what they're calling them, right? They're out there. And I don't know what they did that got the IRGC, got the Islamic Republic so ready to execute them. President Trump publicly implored Iran to release 8 women whom the regime is allegedly set to execute. Hold on. Allegedly set to execute as a means of building goodwill with the United States. The president urged the Islamic Republic to spare the detainees, including a 16-year-old and a doctor. They got women doctors in Iran. It's amazing. And with others following the nationwide protests against the government earlier, to the Iranian leaders, who will soon be in negotiations with my representatives, I would greatly appreciate the release of these women. So these are the 8. Iran's 8 set to be executed allegedly. So let me pull this all up here. Hold on. Let me pull it all up. So, where were we here? I mean, that's you've heard of maybe some of this cracking down on what they call anti-regime protests that erupted in January. There was all this, all that talk of those protesters being harmed, and with this ongoing conflict. And there's been reports that they've already executed people, according to like these human rights groups. Okay, Amnesty International. They report dozens of people at risk. They like follow them, and I was interested in knowing, well, how do they know these things? Like, how do they, when they say, well, these 8 women, how do they know these things? That was my question, right? But you're familiar with the ongoing trouble with this, and these 8 specific women were arrested in the protests and sentenced for alleged serious charges. That's what the news is saying, and Trump is highlighting. Here's the thing, and so I'm wondering, right? Like, how do we know this? Like, does Iran just publicly like announce these things? But well, no. I mean, the Iranians are actually denying this. They're saying Trump has been misled. Look at these images, by the way. Pretty clear shots. But Iran, as Trump claims Tehran is to execute 8 women. Yeah. They're denying this. That's what they're saying. Now, the human rights groups, and I forget which one it was that came out with these 8. It was this individual on X, and he's affiliated. But the general consensus with a couple of these human rights groups was there was this one lady, Betty Hemati, Bita Hemati, and she is one that's not really contested as much as the others. I noticed. Her and her husband were. They say that this is this is how they write it. They call it a documented death sentence. Arrested with her husband and 2 others. A revolutionary court sentenced the group to death on charges like acting on behalf of the U.S., using explosives, violence against security forces, and enmity against God. And this is reported by human rights activist news agency National Council of Resistance of Iran, the Abdurrahman Barumad Center, Amnesty International. This is one that's more like widely reported by the groups and like far more, call it credibility. Like, they're just, the language they use is far clearer. Now, the other 7 women, that's where it's like fresh info, and people are like, where are you getting this from? Yeah, they're saying that it's just unclear, and Iran denies it. They say that there may have been people in prison for various reasons, but death penalties rare, if and definitely not with those, and that's what they're reporting. They deny it. There's these reports saying, I mean, Times of Israel, these reports going around that, in fact, a number of the women, 2 of them, in these 8, were actually already out on bail. Already, like, what's it called? Questioning the veracity of that story, of the 8 and all that. So that's what the news is saying. That's what they've gathered. Listening to Trump, listening to Iran, blah, blah, blah. What's going on here? So where was I here? That's the Iran 8. Seems partially true, maybe not confirmed in some cases. Trump is billing this as a way of garnering good favor for the incoming negotiations. But whatever. I think this is like very, the international community, this is a tearjerker for the international community in the West and beyond and all that. And even in Iran, okay, look, I'll tell you about that in a moment. But it's one of those things, right? You got the women, it's a human rights thing. So I'm not saying he's lying or anything. I really don't care. I think it would be fine if he's like drumming up, like someone presented him a story that's like, look at these 8 women. He's like, yeah. Like if the story was different, he's not like done with Iran. That's what I'm trying to say. Like it's like Iran's still the problem. It's still the op. So if the story was like, okay, Mr. President, no, you don't understand. This is fake news. Oh, my bad, Iran. No, we're cool now. Like, right? So, but that is the facts. Like, they're like wondering. That's what the news is saying. They're wondering about these other 7. It's like, it seems to be partially confirmed. Doesn't matter to me. There was something interesting about it, though. There's this talk about AI-generated victims. I wanted to clear this up for some people because it's not exactly what you think in this case. But oh yeah, look, it's Owen Schroyer. What's he been up to? Owen Schroyer, he's on X, and he was wondering, he's looking at these images of these 8. Look at them. They're posted by Trump in a much clearer post here, as you can see. And Owen Schroyer was looking at him, and he's just like, why do they all look like they did like a studio headshots, like in a studio? Like, what is going on here? He was very disturbed. Well, I don't know about how disturbed, but he did pose the question. He writes, how come they all have the exact same headshot from the exact same photo shoot? Did they all get these professional photos taken together, or just another coincidence, I'm sure? Ooh. Like, some of you are now like questioning too, right? I can hear you now. You're like, Nick, Owen's kind of on it. You're going to tell me you believe that, Nick? You're going to tell me that's not AI? So it is maybe initially strange. Let the conspiracies commence. It is maybe initially strange, but just, you got to scrutinize these things. Now, this post was embedded in this post because someone had quote tweeted, reposted Owen Schroyer to inform those reading this post of the existence of generative AI for good. Generative AI for good, which is it's a real, like, this post basically, this is what the post says. There's an Israeli influence operation called Generative AI for Good that creates AI victims of Iran to agitate for a regime change. They just held a conference last week in New York City. Here's a short clip of one of their deep fake propaganda videos they released a few weeks ago. So that's what they write. That's how they characterize it. Let's watch this. This lady you're watching is not. Does she know she's AI? Maral, 34, survivor of sexual violence by the Iranian regime. Okay, this is the captions. I can't read it. It's blocked by my little thing. You can't understand this language. I'm trying to help you. I was arrested and they put me inside a van. They would take me, blah, 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 at a time to a certain room in groups of 7 or 8. And I thought they would only beat us there. They took 7 to 8 women. They graped us in groups. My usage of G confused me in the word groups. Apologies. Okay, they graped us in groups. Wait, what? Okay, that's AI. That's a lady that does not exist. Morale, 34. That's the hand. Look at the hands. The hands look good. Like, look at that shot of hands. Let's get a clear AI shot of the hands, please. This is a flex, basically. This little shot is basically a flex. Like, let's flex our AI prowess. Look at the hands. That's what that shot was. So people were. So this is real. But first of all, let me tell you what's real and what's not. Generative AI for Good is real and an Israel-based Tel Aviv-founded initiative. This organization openly uses generative AI to create videos featuring survivor testimonies, and they produce these videos with the visuals and all that to represent the stories. The videos, though, are synthetic. But the claim, you got to be careful with what you're reading out here. You got to have your own mind. Listen to the claim by this post that it's an influence operation, creating victims out of thin air. So initially, you watch this post, you're like, oh. I watched this video, and first thing I see here says identity protection over here. It says AI avatar and identity protection. I look up this organization because I end up confirming my suspicion. It says identity protection because although the videos are synthetic, they're to protect the identity of real people, and that's what they say. They say that these are real survivors, real stories. The post implies the entire thing is fabricated, but that these are real stories, and that they use these AI avatars, and I guess further, maybe even the name and all that, to protect the individuals from retaliation. Okay, but that is a thing. I find it kind of humorous because the Jews they get a lot of stink lately, and the things they say is like, well, they're just so victim minded and they love to push victim narratives, and it's not always so honest. It's not always so honest with the isms and the anti-Semitism. It's like, were you really is that really fair, or is it you're just shutting down conversation? Some take it far. Some say some of the deepest of their grievances are total fabrications. I think that's a little far. That's a little far. But personally, I'm not an expert. I will say, it seems like everybody does it. Someone learned it from someone. I don't know. And who did it first? Does it matter? Doesn't that show how judgmental, how you don't get it? But it seems like everybody, some maybe are the best at it. Maybe they've gotten really good at it. Some are merely learning now, who was it? Not the Haitians. Was it the Somalians with their latest? You saw them on social media? We covered it. They got all this backlash, and they came out with these prophecies talking about how the Bible basically promised Minnesota to them, and you just got to wonder where they learned that from. And I think it's from humanity. On a real sense, that maybe on a real sense, it's like from humanity. They all use these grievances, try to play stuff up when things didn't happen to them. It's not totally false. It's just there's all these things at play. It's a little bit more real than, call it not real. Just it's a little bit more complicated because people are silly than you think. Don't you think? Isn't this interesting? So AI generated victims, not exactly. And on these pictures, by the way, and then we're gonna get to calls, because I hear you still. But Nick, what about those 8 women? Those pictures look funny. What about those 8 women? You're not gonna explain that? Okay. When you just simply look up their names, it becomes clear. It becomes clear what happened. Let's do that together. Where's the New York Post article? Here it is. Now that first lady that I mentioned, Bita, the one that's not contested, Bita Hemani and her husband, with what they say it's a death sentence. That's this one right here, with the blonde. Okay, second from the top left. You look her up. Hold on. That's the image that people are disturbed by. We're going to just search her up really quick. Bita, I forget her name. And you realize, just do an image search. Is it Hemani? Wait. Let's get the spelling right. There it is. Bita. Let's go. Oh man, let's do Google because I don't trust Yahoo for some reason. Bita Hemati, and plus I did this on Google, so let's recreate the results. You see that there's this like Instagram picture of her. Okay, that they clearly photoshopped and cut out this gray, and that explains this one. Okay, keep it going. We're just gonna do a few. Mabube. I used to know a Mabube. And she was like whitewashed, and so she would always laugh at Mabube because if you know English, like that's just funny. But Mabube Shabani, look at this, another social media image. It's literally the same image. It's the same expression. There she is, right there, with the white halo that made it look like everybody had a headshot in a studio. No, it's just Photoshop. She was cut out using Photoshop, and they gave her a little inner glow or outer glow or something on a black background. So that's that image. Yeah. So there you go. Do you need help? Are you still tripping? Do I need to go through a few more? If you do, I did this with pretty much all the names, and you can find images that have been previously posted of them that you could tell. Okay, so that's what they did. They're not AI generated. They're not fake victims, at least not just from these images and the assumption that Owen Schroyer. I mean, he had a question, but the question that he had, I think it can be answered. I don't think it was AI generated. I think they just photoshopped these images into a collage to show you their faces. Okay? So that's what I think happened there. 888-775-3773. It's a little interesting, though, how they're not covered up or and full of makeup, huh? I guess Iran, you know, you look it up, they tell you Iran, I mean, it's illegal to walk around as a woman. You have to wear a hijab. It is the law. So if you look it up, they say since 1979, the Islamic Revolution, it's been the law to wear a hijab and to have modest clothing that covers the arms and legs. But they also say it's just been real loose lately. It's been loosey-goosey in Tehran. After that woman who was beat by the moral police and then the protests happened, it seems like things have relaxed in some sense. I'm not saying that these women are a good example of that, though. They are activists, so to speak, and it could be a sign of protest, a sign of all that to picture yourself like this on your social media, et cetera, if you're an activist. But I wonder, I mean, it doesn't seem like the AIs or the Googles disagree. Did you do your Googles? It doesn't seem like they disagree that there's some general sense in Tehran, and especially in the city centers, that there's some relaxing of these things, especially after they protested because the police allegedly beat some woman. I don't know if she died, I forget. But that she was uncovered, she was beat severely, and they protested about it. Like, that's wrong. Isn't that interesting? It's like we have this image of Iran. It's like this oppressive. You almost want to say there's almost like a sense of toughness to it too, right? And right, far be it from me to agree with any Islamic regime. What barbarians, right? Right? I don't know. But I'm being humorous. But you know, you just get this sense maybe it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough. You know, I think maybe they overreacted to the women and all that. But in other senses, it might express this sense of toughness. But they're more like us than you think. Maybe they're more like us than we're willing to say. Ain't that funny about life? Or something. I don't know. Cue some like sitcom music, some sort of lesson learning type 90s music. And just like that, we're more alike than you think. The women start protesting. The guys are like, oh my gosh, geez, okay. Oh, Lee, sorry. I mean, sure, sorry, ladies. I mean, we went too far. Sorry. Okay, you can wear a little makeup. I'm sorry. The guys, that's tail between your legs. What happened to the big, tough Islamic regime? Anyways, 888-775-3773. I want to get to all of you. Let's keep it moving here. Let's get to Brady, Arizona. How you doing, Brady? You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon. Now we've gone from AI Dr. Trump, and then it was AI Jesus Trump, and then now we're to AI Mad Bomber Trump.
Ooh, what you mean?
I kind of like it. You know, you don't know which one you're looking at. You got to keep them guessing. We're at a time of war, so I like it.
Is he bombing stuff with AI or what happened?
Oh no, he bombed 180 Girl Scouts a couple of weeks back and eviscerated them over there in Iran. Not a whole lot of news on that in this country, was there?
Sorry, I missed what you said. I apologize, man. I was trying to look up. I thought you were bringing up some news that, because you mentioned Trump and AI bombing, that now it was AI Jesus, and now it's AI bombing. Did some development happen? Are you referring to some news I'm not familiar with?
No, I guess you were talking about Owen Shore and his new haircut that Trump has. That it's an AI picture of whatever that Trump is right now. That's fine.
Yeah, they were talking about these 8 women that are set to be allegedly executed in Iran as protesters, and some were saying that these pictures were AI generated.
Well, it could be. You know, a lot of that stuff was. You know, you got to remember. Look what Charlie Kirk was killed for, because he on October 8th, a couple of years back, when they said Hamas was attacking into Israel. That whole video. Me, along with Charlie, we question that. That's an AI-generated video that fooled millions across this world to this day. And how many millions are dead because of a fake AI video? There was no hang gliders come flying in with propellers on it. Come on, folks.
You think that video was AI? You think the video of the October 7th attacks or those videos surrounding it like AI-generated?
Yes.
I don't remember. I think I remember seeing Charlie comment on them, but I don't remember. No, it could be wrong. But it just, you're making it sound like he said that he questioned it in the same way that you are. I heard him question it in the following way, like wondering how something could happen when Israel has such powerful intelligence and all that. I remember him, I might even be remembering that wrong, but I remember something like that. But you're making it sound like he was questioning the absolute veracity of the October 7th attack itself. You're saying that? Are you saying that he thought it may have been AI generated? That sounds like hard to believe.
Well, if that video was AI generated, and what Charlie was pointing out is you had a 8-hour shutdown by the Israeli Defense Forces for 8 hours, and allowed whatever that incursion is, whoever that invading force, what you wanted to call it, was. But again, just like today, what you're watching with the Israeli regime is the 2030 project that they're going to. And that's what's on their armband, on the Israeli Defense Forces armband, is the picture of New Jerusalem. And it's the whole Middle East, folks. It's not that little spot in there the size of Rhode Island. So watch what they're putting out towards. Don't believe every word that comes out of the Israeli regime, because 99 out of 100, it's not truthful. And they consider you the anchor baby goyim, which was the equivalent of a cow. So watch what you think called.
You're right. I think they would like me. But how should we? Why should we believe? You're saying they don't believe what they say over there or whatever. But why should we believe Brady? So far, you haven't said anything that makes sense. You're bringing up.
What don't you agree with?
You're bringing up all these random things. It's not a clear conversation of what we're talking about.
What are you not clear upon that I can expand upon for you?
I forget now. What were you just saying? Because you went off into some other thing. But what were we originally talking about? I mean, it was not what you're saying.
I was talking about AI, but
right.
Bring it back.
And then you thought what? You thought October 7th is AI generated. Why? Like you're saying, don't believe anything they say, but then why should we believe anything Brady says? Because you are alleging October 7th is AI generated. Do you understand what you're saying?
Okay.
Do you think the October 7th attack was totally false?
I scrutinized that video for hours and hours upon days. Okay, I don't know if
That's
you had
not
a
how
chance
you find
to do
out
that.
if something is AI. Do you think
I
that just by looking
I
at a
used
video
little bit,
more,
but listen,
longer,
hang on,
I will?
hang
There
on.
it is. I found that's not how that works.
Okay, let's just skip that part. I'll go.
No,
I'll go with
I don't
something
want.
that,
No, but now all of a sudden you want to skip that part. Do you think the October
Well, I'm
7th
just gonna
attack
go
is AI
something
generated,
that-
not real?
Something that did occur on October 7th was the October 8-hour stand down by the Israeli government. Who
Do
in
you
their
think
right
the October
mind?
7th attack is fake?
Yes, it was done on purpose to do what they're doing today to advance the 2030 Israel movement, what they call the 2030 Israeli project. And look it up. That's what
So
they're
you're
doing.
questioning the authenticity and the motivations of it, but which is still crazy. But it sounded like you went even further. You're saying that all those videos are fake, that no one died, no shots were fired. Is that what you're saying?
No, people died, but a lot of that video that you saw that was coming across Fox and CNN, that was a pile of hogwash like normal. You know, the people that run the media in this stinking country live in Israel, folks. So all you see is a lot of that stuff. It's one-sided. You know, if you actually go onto some news site outside of this country, things are a little bit different than what you see and what you want to portray as they're doing such righteous things. They're really not. They're really not. They're far from Christianity. Like I told you before, you know who their God is. It's not Jesus. So quit trying to cover for it. You know who. I don't cover for them anymore.
I don't know what you're talking
We're in
about.
a world of hurt.
Sincerely, I'm just letting you finish so that I can move on. But I really now you're saying I don't know who you're covering for, but Brady, man, this is crazy.
You cover for them all the time. The people always want to have pity for them, yet they're putting this country. We're 10 seconds away from a nuclear war because of that idiot Bibi Netanyahu. He's an absolute idiot.
Thanks, Brady. Can you call me again?
Take care.
Take it easy, Brady. 888-775-3773. Amazing. Where were we? Where were we here? Look, I'm just checking something really quick. Okay. Rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. Thanks for your support, your super chats and all that, YouTube. And I'll get to you, buymeacoffee.com/Anchor Baby. But first, let's get to Michael out of Canada, as they say. How you doing, Michael?
Canada.
Hey.
Canada. Canada.
Not Canada. Like a Latino.
Canada is for, yeah.
Canada.
I won't say that word. Yeah, so, man, you talking those crazy calls before talking the working man calls?
Wait, you got to repeat that, sorry.
So you take these crazy callers before taking a working man call. That's the same, brother.
Well, I took them in order, but, maybe I don't always take them in order. I don't disclose.
No, I'm playing.
Sometimes I might switch it up. Well, working man, how you doing, Michael, Canada? Please.
I'm fine, but I'm starting to be worried about you, man.
Okay. I appreciate the concern, brother.
Yesterday you had a talk with Artie Art. Shout out Artie Art.
Yes.
And you said to him that having a wall, what's the purpose of having a wall on the border, right?
Uh-huh.
And you said it's for looking at it or something like that.
For what?
You said that what's the purpose of having a wall?
Yes.
Just looking at it and said that we have a wall. That's what you said, right?
That's not what I said. No.
Then
that's not what I said. That's how I was describing an individual who would the wall's purpose is to stop illegal immigration, right? If you do that, if you're able to successfully do that, but then someone complains, "Hey, where's the wall you promised?" That person would be kind of not getting it, because the purpose of the wall was to stop the illegal immigration. So if now at that point you're just like screaming for a wall, it's like my question would be, what do you want it for? Just to look at it and say, "Wow, look at this wall we built."
Tell me
So
you're
that's
playing
where
right
that
now,
came
right?
from.
You're playing right now, right?
No, Don't you?
Come on.
That was a good. I think it was a good. I thought that was a
you
good
think because
statement to express what I was thinking.
Let me just explain your logic so I understand well what you said. So since Trump is there and there's no more crossing, we don't need no wall. That's what you're referring about. That's what you're saying.
No, not necessarily either on that. Because there could be a good reason to build it anyways, but that's why I was saying that at that conversation. You know, you said something. You called in saying something I said. I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, okay, all right. But you understand that having a wall is because there will be some other people after Trump that will be president, and this president can choose to open the border again. But if there's a wall, you got to jump over the wall before.
Right. No, and I thought of that after, and if Art had brought that up, I would have said that's a great point, and I thought of that after. But the Art wasn't saying that
because that wasn't the point. That was the purpose of the wall at first.
My point still stood at that point, at that moment, and it still does now. But
imagine that, Nick. If the wall has been built in the first Trump term, did you think there will be as much crossing that there were during the Biden administration, for example?
Say that again?
Do you think if the wall was built during the first Trump administration, if the wall was built during his first term, do you think many illegals would have crossed the border as they did during the Biden administration?
I'm not sure.
I can tell you no.
But why are you so sure?
I can tell you right now, no. Did you see what the plan of the wall was? Crossing this is something else, man. You gotta be quick. Did you see the first design of the wall?
Oh, you talking about the bollards when they had the metal columns?
Yeah, the metal columns. Like they're spans, but there's space between them, and they are deep underground, and they are up high in the sky, and they put grease on the poles so people cannot go over it. I know you can bring something to go over it, but if there's police around, you know it's becoming way complicated. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to dig a hole and go under it is the same problem. It takes time, and when you do that, you don't get time. So,
that's illegal immigration for you. That's the ins and outs. Yeah, I mean, many of us have been following this.
I heard the RDR call on Hake's show, and Hake told RDR that he was complaining like a woman. But to be really real with you, he wasn't complaining like a woman. That's real.
No, but
legitimate complaint.
You're doing this thing where because what you're saying now, that's what Art was saying, but that's not what's happening. Because you bring up this point, which I can even say, you know what, that's true. That is there is a you can have an argument for building a wall anyways, even if Trump is fulfilling the purpose of the wall, you know.
Well, he's not doing it.
You're doing this thing where hold on, I'm still talking. You're doing this thing where you say that, and even if it's a good point, you're making it sound like that's what Art was saying, but that's not what Art was saying. Art was saying, where was the promises, man? He was doing this.
Exactly.
He was doing the very basic, without looking into it, judgment. Someone told him this, so let me throw it out. Where are the promises, man? When it's just like you're being very obtuse. The point of the wall was the border. And by the way, how do you know the wall's not being built? You keep saying
because
that.
It's not. Come on, man.
Well, why do you say that? The question was, how do you know?
How do you know? You can Google it, man.
Yeah, you can Google it. You're right.
That's
so how do you know that it's not being built?
Everybody can
You're
go
absolutely
and see
right.
that
You
for
can
themselves.
Google it. You're absolutely right. So how do you know that it's not being built? Because I'm wondering how you can Google it and come to the same conclusion.
You Google it.
Yeah. It sounds like you haven't Googled it.
And you have been
When did you Google it,
lied
maybe?
to.
Did you Google it, like, maybe last month? Or, like, when did you Google it? Maybe you should
Oh,
try
I don't
again.
Google things like that. I only Google things for the wall nowadays.
Well, you should try again because you called me about it.
I
You
just
should
know
Google
there's
it
no
more
wall.
recently.
I've seen plenty of YouTubers going to the border.
Well, now
too,
you're
and
switching
there's
up. You
nothing
said they're
happening
not
there.
building it. The point was about not building it.
And they're not building it, man.
You said they're
Where
not.
did you
Why
see
do you
that?
say that? You saying it's because I Googled it, but I Googled it. I'm
Because
telling you they're
there's
saying
no
they
funds
are.
for that. Because there's no funds for that.
Well, you said what?
There's no funds for that. There's no money.
Doesn't sound
money,
like
baby.
you know. It doesn't sound like you know.
What was the big beautiful bill? It was for ICE, ICE agents,
What'd you
for
say?
border patrol agents. The big beautiful bill, there was a part in it that there was for ICE.
You said what?
They never mentioned.
What about
There
it?
was in the big beautiful bill. You remember that?
What about the big beautiful bill?
There was a part of the bill for ICE agents. There are millions of dollars to ICE agents and border
Sounds like
reinforcement.
another awesome thing.
Yeah, but they don't talk about the wall. They don't
Wait,
talk
wait,
about
wait.
the wall anywhere
That's so
in
funny,
that.
man. So you're bringing up an amazing. You're bringing up, man. All they did
They
was
have
expand.
funds for
All they
that,
did
but
was
they don't have
expand
funds for
ICE
the wall.
massively. So you bring your example to say that he didn't.
Yeah.
By the way, I was a little distracted in the middle because I'm pulling up these articles. Maybe you're watching. If you're watching the stream too, you might be interested.
Nah, I'm not watching. I'm working.
I'll just read the articles, the headlines. Trump's border. This is April 2026. Trump's border wall lurches. Trump's border wall lurches closer to schedule. I mean, you're talking about Google's, right? You said just Google it, Nick. A massive border wall expansion is underway. Washington Post. The liberals who hate Trump.
On the way.
The U.S. Customs Border Protection on the Smart Wall map. So besides
10
that,
years in the making.
I'm just saying, man. You said it's not happening, and you can Google it, right? That's all. That's
It
what
will
you said.
not
That's all.
happen, bro. I can tell you that. It will not happen. And you know what? I'm right. I'm always right.
I don't know about that. My code from Canada.
Hey! I
don't
told
know
you.
about that.
I told H that the war was still going on in 2 months, and there's a month passed already. So, I'm starting to winning. He's starting to losing. So who's right? I am.
Said the man screaming to the wall, and nobody responded.
I wish I could. You know, I've been to Vermont, right?
I wish I could. Oh, that's a good one.
I've
what was it that
been
you
to the border,
was
to the Vermont border. You know, right? I told that, hey, I've been to the Vermont border, and you know, I can trust like easily. And I saw these Mexicans with their child. They was looking for ways to go, man. I'm sure about that.
So was I responding to you to close this up because I did this thing in the middle of my response to tell you about the headlines? Was there a question? Was there like a thing that was left unresponded to? I mean,
No, I just want to have a little chat with you and arguing because I love to argue with people. But you know, man,
talking, sir.
Bro, like, I can't believe you still protect this man at all costs, man, with all what is happening right now. And you still, we can tell anything about him, and you will still protect this man. I can't understand that, to be real with you, man. Like the Jesus picture, man. Like, come on, he ain't no nurse. And you know that very well, so he's lying to your face, straight to your face. And nobody wants, you're assuming. I'm not assuming, man. That's
But
the
I don't
picture
feel like
of Christ.
I gotta say, I just think you have me wrong. You say I can't believe you would protect him, but you don't even know. That doesn't even make sense. Like I'm out here protecting every single thing. It's just kind of like a show, and like my thoughts. I do tend to be a little bit more reasonable, and I think it's a better conversational point. But there's a vast amount of opinions and things, and Trump and administration in America. There's a vast amount of things that, one, I don't even know. Two, care to comment about. Three, even, right? Like, so it's just, I just think you have me wrong, man. I think you got me wrong. It doesn't matter though. Look, but about like for example, about like Trump and what were you saying? Like Jesus and all that. Like, I don't feel lied to. You feel lied to because because you think it's blasphemy. You think all these things. I don't think all the things you're thinking.
No, come on, don't put
So
me in
don't
this.
put the things that you're thinking on me.
That's not real.
And that's it.
No, I'm not like that, brother. I'm not like that. No,
Or maybe you don't call it
I could do
blasphemy,
the
but
same
I'm not
thing.
lied to.
I
You're
could
the
do
one
the
that's
same
lied to,
thing.
not me. I don't
In the
feel
rap
lied
song,
to.
I say that I
It's
talk
a
like
total
Jesus.
troll. Obviously, he's not. Obviously, he's not saying "f you" to Jesus or anything like that. So I don't feel lied to. That's you. Don't put what you feel on me.
It's not that he was. If he was thinking that he was Jesus, it's all right. I don't care about that, man. The thing is that when someone asks him about it, he's straight lying to you because it's the worst answer I ever heard in my life.
Already. He's not lying to me.
All right, we're gonna come around another day, another time.
Maybe,
but
Michael. Maybe.
We're still Canadian brother.
Don't give up on your brother.
No, never. And I told Hake that. Even though there's politics involved and you know, that doesn't matter. You're still my friend.
Don't give up on your brothers.
No. And
Michael.
come back around and eat some maple syrup, man.
What do you mean? I still like maple syrup.
Yeah. It's good. All right.
All right, sir.
Day, man.
Take it easy. Michael, 888-775-3773. Incredible. So where were we? We were in the middle of stuff, weren't we? Where the heck were we? Let me pull it all up. Let me pull up our stuff. Because we were in the middle of something. What were we talking about? AI-generated victims. Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess blockades and nukes. You got to love those things, right? You got to love blockades and nukes. Just on the engineering behind it. On the engineering behind it alone. Yeah, I mean, this blockade is still going. And there was this rumors, right? It's like not even a blockade. There's letting in ships. 27 ships got through. It turns out to be the opposite. No one on the left, right? It's like total blind spot on the left. But yeah, 27 ships have been turned back. That strait is blockaded. Open, not open. It's up to Trump. But look, there's stuff going on, okay? And there was this thing with this Indian tanker that we're talking about AI and all that. It's all kind of thematic, and we get to hear this guy. Not that we're tickled, not by misery or pain. Though no one was hurt, thankfully, but out of just the messiness of the world, okay? And you got this tanker, and I forget the size of it, but we're talking one of the Supermaxes, I think. Big Indian tanker. And they got crypto scammed. So allow me to pull this up. Where did I put that? And we have audio. We have a little bit of audio. So you get to just imagine this a little bit and be entertained for a moment, okay? You sick people. No. There's this Indian tanker that fell for a fake crypto scam. Allegedly, they allege it was the RGC, but it's actually totally unknown. The Iranian forces. But essentially, Iran said, well, okay, the ceasefire. They said, no, they said that Trump couldn't do it, but ceasefire happened. But, I mean, war's still going. Let's be real. And so Iran says, hey, some violation happened. It's back closed. But the Sanmar Herald had thought they found a way around. They thought they found themselves a way through in these hard times where you got to push this oil. The prices are high. It's like there's so much money on the table. You're telling us if we pay a fee we can get through, it's worth it. How do we pay it? How much do you want us to pay and when? That's not it. Hold on. So that's a little bit of the story, little intro. Why can't I find police suspicious? I'm trying to find my info on this. What What the? Yo, anybody? Are you guys on the JLP account? Don't delete. I don't think they do. Don't worry about it. Maybe I put it. What? Did I delete it? It doesn't matter. Let's just give you the story a bit. Where the heck did I put it all? Because, it's kind of important to get the story right. I mean, they posted it on X, but that's not enough. I had the info for you. They posted it on X. This is what I saw initially, right? And then I had to confirm it. But new reports indicate that an Indian tanker fell for a fake IRGC crypto scam. They paid USDT to the scammers, thinking they would now pass through freely, and then got shot by the IRGC forces. That's so annoying. Maybe this... I've noticed that if I save something a certain way, I can't find it again. Okay, India TV news. Let's just do this old school. Yes, there was an incident involving an Indian flag tanker. The Sanmar Herald in the Strait of Hormuz came under fire from Iranian IRGC forces. Social media indicate it was linked to a crypto scam by the IRGC, but the ship's owner and Indian government have strongly denied that the vessel itself fell for any scam. It didn't happen. Scammers posing as the Iranian authorities have been targeting ships stuck or trying to pass through Hormuz. They send messages demanding payment in Bitcoin or USDT, which is another type of crypto. It's called USD Tether. It's just I don't really know the details, folks, but it's tethered to the US dollar. Or fake clearance. A Greek maritime risk firm issued a warning about this exact scam and said they believe at least one ship fell victim and then was fired upon when it tried to cross. Again, India denies this. They're like, no, we didn't get this scammed. That's BS. We didn't get scammed. This Greek maritime risk firm, Marisks as they're known, they had to issue this warning, internationally, because they said that they believe one ship was scammed. Was this the ship? I don't know. The Sanmar Herald, though, we have audio in a thrilling, what's it called? Because you're entertained by violence, maybe. But look, they're supposedly coming up here, and around here, off the island of whatever, Lirak Shuhri, they get fired on by what's the name of the Navy? Iranian Navy name in Hormuz. They have a special Navy that operates in the Strait of Hormuz, known as... I want to know. I forget. What's the special Navy forces in Hormuz for Iran? I like knowing these things. They're known as... It's called like Sehad or something. Sepah Naval Special Force. Sepah. Let's listen to the spicy moment.
Sepah Navy. This is Motoranga Sanmar Herald. You gave me clearance to go. My name second on your list. You gave me clearance to go. You are firing now. Let me turn back. Sepah Navy.
You are firing now. I mean, I wonder what kind of rounds were coming. I wonder what kind of rounds were coming in. You got to imagine the absolute pandemonium on deck as they do this quick. I don't know. I'm starting to lose details here. This is out of my. We're starting to get into deep waters here in industry. I don't know all the lingo, so I don't know how fast these things turn. But you got to imagine the panic here as they start getting fired on. Their Navy is called MIA. Yeah, no, this is maybe their only remaining Navy, Jim. The Sepah Navy. Because I don't know where the rest are. Just a bunch of boats, just a bunch of speedboats with guns on them. No, I don't know. I don't really know the capabilities of the revered Sepa Navy.
Sepa Navy. This is Motoranga Mar Herald. You gave me clearance to go.
No, they didn't. You thought they gave you clearance.
Second on your list. You gave me
like, you gotta imagine what are the other sounds happening.
Clearance to go. You are fighting now. Let me turn back. Sepa Navy.
Oh man, what a mess, huh? What a mess out there. Crypto scams. Can we have some peace? But whatever. Why is he speaking to them in English? It's an international thing. What is he? That's the international language. We're second on your list. So maybe there was another scammed individual. Maybe somebody else got scammed. We're second on your list. Nope, there's no list. But do not redeem it. What are you talking about? Look, what was I saying? English is the international language of trade, of air traffic controllers. You as a pilot, if you're like flying in your like nation, yes, often you'll speak to the air traffic controllers in your native tongue. But just as often, and especially if you're international, doing long haul flights, everyone's talking in English. Everyone's speaking in English. Do not redeem. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. What a mess. Okay. And that's it with that, right? Some countries are better known for accommodating international like air traffic, not culture, but just ease of being able to communicate with English speakers. I heard the Japanese are great at that. I forget who's bad at that, where you fly in there, or yeah, it's like they are not understanding you. Like you're trying to speak to them in English, and it's DEI. No, I forget where I hear that. Okay, blockades and nukes, free speech and anti-Semitism. You hear about this? I said save this story. There's just various interesting aspects about it. You know. Allow me a moment here to pull up my notes on it. 888-775-3773. You remember the Bondi shooting? I really forget how to say that. Bondi Beach, maybe. Over there in Sydney, Australia. You see some where was it? December 2025. 15 people were killed at this beach, and there was this attack. I forget the details. I think they called it anti-Semitic, and I think it's because they were doing like maybe a Jewish event. I really do forget the details. Over there at Bondi, in Australia. You might remember this. 15. Forget how many. But it was a father and son, right? Now I'm actually I didn't mean to. Now I'm actually, yeah, it was the two gunmen. Was it a father and son? I forget. Because now I'm actually looking it up. Now that I meant to gloss over this, but now I'm making statements. A father and son threw 3 pipe bombs and a tennis ball bomb into the crowd from a footbridge arching over the car park to the north of the Bondi Pavilion. And this arch has been pictured. You've seen this little bridge, this arch over there. And insane, right? Just evil. And Wikipedia calls it an anti-Semitic Islamic State-inspired terrorist attack. And so, look, I forget the details and why they're going to call it all that, but that's the context here. There's this guy who's been jailed, apparently, for mimicking the attack. This is after the attack. So let me pull it up. Man jailed for mimicking gut-wrenching Bondi shooting. A court judge sentenced 23-year-old Zane McMillan to 12 months in prison for mimicking the December 14th terror attack on the same pedestrian bridge. During the January 31st incident, McMillan mimicked firing a long-arm weapon at bystanders while shouting anti-Semitic profanities on the bridge where 15 people died 7 weeks earlier. And the judge noted McMillan singled out Jewish victims, not any other faith or belief. The defense is claiming he was intoxicated. That he lacked true anti-Semitic intent. That these were simply the spewings of someone on drugs. Allegedly was allegedly I think high on pot and MDMA, is what they were alleging. And that's what the defense barrister, whatever, saying he was intoxicated, but he doesn't truly have anti-Semitic intent. Waverly Council's reviewing, blah, blah, blah. So there was something interesting about this story. I mean, it's over there in Sydney, Australia, and initially, I mean, I was like wondering what's the actual crime, and how would that fare in America, and what kind of challenges would it have concerning free speech and how things run here, even if it's maybe a paltry example of what it once was? I don't know. But they're saying this is the man, Zane McMillan, the one who mimicked the attack. Just imagine, right? You're on this bridge, like I don't know what I don't know what comes over you. Think that's a good idea? It's definitely not love, right? It's definitely not love. It could be comedy. It could be comedy, but some of the details I was reading, I don't think so. I don't think it was love, right? But he's just, I guess, I don't know what comes over you. It's just like on a bridge. You're like, you, hey, you Jew. Like, let me not do that. Let me just try to imagine how insane he may have looked, and just calling out people like. But again, he didn't commit any attack. But this is the 23 Zane McMillan, Australia. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems I'm sometimes interested in the people. I haven't really found not too many details on them. Besides some images that they shared. Has an Eazy-E shirt. A fan of black culture? Maybe. Zane. I don't know what he is. But I mean, it's like McMillan. I don't know. The Zanes I knew in Canada were always brown. Zayn Malik, Zayn. And I know there's a famous guy named Zane or something like that, but I knew Zanes that were like brown like that guy growing up. But this guy is Zane McMillan. He had a longer name. Zane Jason William McMillan. So I don't know. So anyways, that's just him a little bit. The guy, they're saying he's heavily intoxicated, reportedly under the influence of alcohol, ketamine, MDMA, and mushrooms. His defense argued it was drunken stupidity and a drug-fueled rant rather than genuine ideological hatred. And the guy, he was posing on the bridge as if holding and firing a rifle while a friend took photos, according to The Guardian. And he then launched into a tirade yelling anti-Semitic slurs like F the Jews, along with statements such as, I'm a Koori. This is my land. I can do what I want. Koori. Which is a demonym for Aboriginal Australians. So I don't know how to exactly pronounce that. I'm a Koori. So it seems like he was coming at them not from like I'm a white man in Australia. This is my land. He's saying I'm indigenous or something. You know, there's some cultural enrichment I've yet to maybe really enjoy myself. So I'm trying to understand where he's coming from. But apparently, allegedly, statements were attributed to him. Yet he said things like, "I'm a Corey. This is my land. I can do what I like." Witnesses described it as terrifying, especially given the recent trauma. Yeah, so whatever. So they arrested this guy. And I'm wondering, like, what was the, like, charges, though? Like, specifically. Apparently he's charged for 3 counts of behaving in an offensive manner in a public place and 2 counts of intimidation. Okay. And so whatever. I mean, I was thinking about it. I mean, we have similar things. Like disorderly conduct. We have, like, similar things. I was reading it because I was wondering if they were going to hit him with, like, hate crime, anti-Semitism, or something. I'm not sure. I was wondering. And if they did, it's like it would be an interesting. How would that be challenged in America concerning free speech and all that? If a similar thing happened, you know, not someone committing an attack or hurting someone, but going to I don't know, whatever, some similar example, some public space, maybe even where a shooting had happened. Singling out a group and pretending to, I don't know, shoot them and saying F them. You know, I could see them still getting hit with a hate crime in America, right? But I would think to myself, like, that doesn't make sense. Even if it's something heinous, something terrible and heinous. I mean, this is so bad, Nick. You think it's justified that he goes around harassing people? I would say to the apparition, to the dismembered voice, no. But there's, like, already laws for that, for disorderly conduct, harassment, and stuff like that. I just think that what this guy was saying from just the comments we saw, I'll tell you what, it's not coming from love. I don't think it's coming from love. I don't think it's that, but it's not purely. It doesn't seem like it's purely, and I chuckle a little bit because it's a funny statement. Well, it's not just purely about destroying Jews, which that's not even clear. He was just saying F them and all that. But it seems like this thing about, I mean, he was pretending to shoot them with and doing imitating this rifle. And so the point is, it wasn't purely all that, right? He was saying some comments about I'm Corey, this is my land. And here's my only point. It's not a justification of anything of the content. It's just this idea, this concept of hate crime, hate speech, etc., would attempt to make something go away that's there. And that's its own set of problems, no? Because that is a real person saying those things, and that person could be wrong, hateful, evil, whatever, but the hate speech law isn't going to make it go away. Wouldn't that just make it worse? Because it wasn't. You could judge and say it's just purely one thing, but it seems clear that the guy is angry, number one, but then full of, like, grievances and things that I think a lot of people, to some degree or other, even if they're totally wrong, and I mean all of them, right? His grievances about Jews, as right or wrong as he is, there's, I think, a lot of people who might agree. And if, I don't know, you push them silently, I don't know if that's really the proper way of dealing with it. And then besides that, just like other things, like the sentiment of, this is my land and I'm losing it or something. Sure, he may be coming at it from somewhere different than you expect. It sounds like he's identifies as being an aboriginal or something. But all I'm saying is that all these things are there, and the people are attempting to express themselves, and there's something far worse, I think, about, like, a hate crime and trying to silence that. There's already harassment laws and stuff like that. But that is pretty insane, though, like, going around with, like, what are you doing, man? Like, you got to be on drugs. But anyways, mimicking the Bondi shooting. Like, it's happening. It's in people. And he wasn't just, like, there's multiple things being expressed. And he could be wrong for all of them. Anyway, you already heard me. He looks like he just discovered fire. Man. You know, when you're sometimes angry people, you just let yourself go. What a sad way to live. And now he got himself in trouble. Couldn't control himself. Anyone with anger is a murderer. Anyone with anger is a murderer. It's the same murderous intent. So, like, in that sense, deserved. But anyways, free speech, etc. What else about this? Look, that guy wants to throw his life away because he's angry. God will let him do it. But speaking about, I don't know, God, schools, check this out. Maybe I saved this because I went to Catholic school. I'm not traumatized. You're traumatized. Nah, Catholic school is cool. School is all right. I think for a lot of later generations, and mine, and I think there's a general consensus that like school sucked, and I think maybe some more than others, but definitely the generations. I think there's definitely a generational. You hear Jesse. I swear I've heard a whole bunch of people say growing up, going to school was awesome. Going to school was fun. That being said, it was fine, and the Catholic thing was never a big deal. And then we did the uniform thing in high school. That wasn't a big deal. It was whatever. It was whatever. Catholic school in Canada, though, it's not how you think. All of my classmates were my classmates were not Punjab. I mean, there were Punjabs, but they're turban-wearing Sikhs or turban-wearing Punjabis, and like young Punjabis with the little tight turban, or they're getting mature in grade 12, grade 11 and grade 12, and they graduated and they got the little dagger and they got the big turban. Yeah, I went to school with them. That's Catholic school. There's a Supreme Court case that the Supreme Court has agreed to hear this case that I found somewhat interesting concerning Catholic schools and how things work here. But essentially, you got this in Colorado. They have this universal preschool program. This program provides state funding, so that's taxpayer money, to preschools, daycares, etc., to give them the money so that they can provide up to 15 hours a week of free preschool to people eligible. Public schools, private schools, in-home providers, all, etc., are eligible to receive these funds. But to participate and receive these funds, you must sign a non-discrimination provision. And so this requires, this provision, it reads, I pledge or whatever to give children an equal opportunity to enroll regardless of factors like race, ethnicity, religious affiliation, sexual orientation, gender identity, income, disability, or the family's characteristics. So these Catholic schools in Denver, so basically, you got this like Catholic hierarchy, and you have this thing called an archdiocese, and they're basically like what you call those like regional bosses in like Assassin's Creed, where they own like a region and they're the boss of that region? Okay, they're just like a regional. They just like divide the world into regions, and you have a archdiocese overlooking this region. The Archdiocese of Denver basically runs schools out there, in particular these preschools. Anyways, they're saying they're not getting this federal money because they're not getting this Colorado money because they can't sign this non-discrimination provision because it would go against their religious beliefs. They're saying that Catholic schools are effectively excluded from the funding because they can't participate. They view signing this thing as violating their beliefs on biological sex, that marriage is between one man and one woman, and that gender is rooted in biological sex. It's funny, I didn't hear anything about the religious thing. The case, St. Mary Catholic Parish versus Roy, in their case, they say that the problem, what goes against their religion, is the biological sex stuff, the one man, one woman stuff, but not the religious thing. Like, if you affiliate with another religion, I didn't hear anything about that being a problem, but whatever. So yeah, they're saying, well, Colorado discriminates all the time. They're saying Colorado discriminates all the time because they'll delineate things for low-income kids, people with disabilities, and other preferences. But the moment we come out and say, this is our religious preference, they fight it. Colorado saying, no, we're quite neutral. We disagree. But anyways, so they're going to hear this case. And, yeah, it made me think about how that's how that happened in Canada. How I went to school with I remember I went to school with like Sikhs, and at some point you graduate in that religion and you're given like a dagger. You wear it close to your chest. You're given a number of things. You're given like there's like a number of religious items. It's like the Sikh EDC, the Sikh everyday carry. And you're not allowed to have knives in school, but they were allowed to have a dagger. Like it was tiny. It was tiny. But there was a little blade there. It was a little blade. But yeah, the government's a liberal. You get it. The governments are liberals. Okay. Religious freedom. Get out of here. You're going to have the Sikhs in your in your Catholic school. They hate freedom of association. They hate expression. They hate all those true things. They'll say that's what they're about, but they don't mean it. And this is the case. This is that Colorado's saying this is a fair, neutral thing. All you got to do is sign this thing. But the thing they have to sign is, oh yeah, who cares about our Catholic school? Just throw that all away. Catholic, I mean, not if it goes up against gender ideology and LGBT, etc. So the Trump administration is reportedly supporting St. Mary, what is it? St. Mary Catholic Parish. Trump administration is supporting them. I don't know what that means. Maybe just giving them a shout out, right? You got to let the Supreme Court do their thing. Just giving them moral support. Let's get to, how about this? 888-775-3773. I got Garrett out of New Hampshire, I think. How you doing, sir? You're on the air.
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Nicholas?
No complaints, Garrett. Thanks.
Nice to hear your voice again.
Right on, sir.
Yeah, so you were talking about, like, stuff involving a innate sense of focus on certain things where you don't realize where you're fixating on certain things and stuff like that about, other things that have been going on around the world and everything else like that.
You're saying I said something about that?
Yeah, just what the last thing you were talking about.
Yeah. About
people focusing on.
Go ahead.
Go on. No, you go.
I'm not remembering for
ahead.
some reason. I even though I just said it, apparently. Yeah, but that's true though. Over focusing on wrong things, that happens all the time.
Yeah, well, it was. I guess you said something about people focusing too much on the wrong thing, or at least that's how I read what you were saying before.
Yeah, definitely with the Supreme Court. Every story really so far today.
Yeah,
for sure.
it was something funny that I was talking with James earlier as well, that people are just hyper fixated, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Well,
usually
it's something.
on ourselves or something silly.
Yeah, well, it's something that I was talking with James earlier before, because I ended up getting like very terribly sick recently, and I was talking with him, and I said the first thing I did was pray, and then after that, I mean, I'm still sick, but I'm not upset about it or anything else like that. But that's just, a physical affliction, let alone it could be better, but is it not? But when thinking about like the metaphysical, I guess you could say, people often get those things confused in their minds and focused on the wrong thing.
That's deep, man. I just realized the conversation we're having. That's pretty deep. Can you explain that more?
Yeah. What would you like me to explain in more depth? Because I don't want
to be honest with
I don't
you,
want to ramble too long.
Well, I'm just listening. You said that you said you're really sick, and I mean, first thing I'm thinking of is, how can you be okay with that? Like, how is it? Not that you shouldn't be, but right? How'd you do it? Like, that's fascinating.
So, when I first woke up, I ended up. This wasn't today. This was the other day. But when I first woke up, and I ended up finding out that I was really sick, I woke up, and the first thing I did, like the first instinct, was to pray.
Oh, pray. Okay, I heard you now.
And after that, I've just been going through every step of the way. I'm obviously still not better, but as the days have gone on, I'm just okay with it. Yeah, my physical body is sick, but I'm just okay with it, because first instinct was to talk to the Father, and then after that, well, here I am, and I can still smile.
That is so interesting. What I just heard, from what I heard, my perspective is that you got it right from the beginning, and just didn't let yourself trip.
Exactly.
Like, the first thing you did was pray, and you just stuck to that. There wasn't any special. There wasn't like some big deep, like some big process, or like you just stuck to that first, instead of going with the many have a first instant of terror, life's over. You went with your first thing was a little different, pray, and it sounds like you just stayed there, and there's no other big commentary or secret or anything. That's how I took that.
Yeah, well, I thought that related deeply to the way that people are talking about, like, the Iranian war and everything else like that. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing words. I am really... This is my usual voice. But when people think about, like, stuff like the Iranian war and everything else like that, and they talk about Trump and everybody else like that, like, they're really misunderstanding the first and most simple rule. Come to the Father.
Yeah.
And by that token, I may be feeling physically ill or anything else like that, but I've been having a great time these last couple days, even though I'm absolutely terribly sick.
That's crazy, man, to hear, because you just don't. That's not what you think of. It may be easy to say it sometimes, like, I'd be fine, but when faced with it, it's like, this is scary. This sucks. This is scary. This is whatever. But
I
you
think that's the first.
your first step was sound, and you just stayed there, and I just can't let that go. That's deep to me.
The first thing that a lot of people do is they observe the fear that's in their hearts, and then they end up getting scared about it. And instead of just going and having a little prayer, even if it's a little prayer or a long prayer or whatever you want to call it, they get absorbed by the fear. They fall for the trick.
That is like scary and interesting and everything all at once, man. Your call.
Yeah. Yeah, so as far as the Iran war is concerned or anything else like that, keep your heads up, folks.
Right on.
It's nothing in the face of God. Because he is all. That type of stuff.
So do you get the temptation to like think about your situation, to think about your condition and your situation?
Yes. When I was really, really feeling down and out by the sickness, I basically just stared up at the ceiling and I was like, okay, I don't care if I die or anything else like that. Like, just the next step is the next step. And it was kind of like a weird feeling because I wasn't feared, or I wasn't scared of like whatever would happen next. Next thing I know, everything got so much worse. My sickness got so much worse. But I wasn't upset by it.
Wow.
And I'm still not upset now. I don't go run crying to the doctor or anything else like that if the sickness gets worse. I just trust. And I woke up this morning so I can be thankful.
I'm taking it in, man. I appreciate the example. Because this is like a very visceral, like physical thing. And it's one of those kind of things where you could maybe take some endurance in what you might want to call easier to handle because it's not as physically painful, etc.
Yeah, well, I mean, I am definitely feeling like rubbish. But this is the easy part of being alive.
Interesting, man. I wish you well, big time and all that. I don't really want to pry. It's not
You
really
can
that
pry all
important.
you want.
Hey, what's the prognosis?
What's the prognosis?
Oh, wait, what's
I
my
don't know.
question? In my mind, I just asked you if it'll turn out well or if it's unknown, not what it is. That's not what I was asking.
Well, it will turn out well. It doesn't matter if it turns out well. It already is well. Because I don't have anything to fear.
True say.
Although, the physical pain definitely does really put a damper on the spirits.
Did I hear you chuckle at that end? Or is it just me laughing by myself?
Yeah, I chuckled.
Okay. Hey, bacon me sometimes. There's something funny about it.
Yeah, well, I was talking to James earlier, and it's just like one of those weird things that when you just stop worrying about all the random terrible things, you realize, I guess it's kind of like Job. You know, he ran away from a lot of things and everything just got so much worse, but everything was good by the time that he was able to meet our maker, I feel the same way about stuff like sickness and other things like that. I'm around a lot of people that are very interested in monetary gain and other things of that sort. Meanwhile, they see me and know that I'm just comfortable in my living situation, and they get almost frustrated. But it's kind of like when you can see the pain they're going through from what they're seeing in your situation, and understand that that's the same evil that lives inside of you, and, go to the Father, then it's a lot easier, if that makes any sense.
I think it does a little tiny bit, because while you were speaking, I thought about, well, yeah, you know what he's saying happens in my life, maybe in a different parallel. Like I just see, I see how silly it all was, whatever I cared about, and I laugh, and the pain may be there, maybe not, or the wound or injury, or maybe not, but it ends up being funny because it was all so silly. It didn't matter as much as I thought it did, and so maybe. And I find it almost hard to believe in the point that I'm sitting in, but I'm hearing you, and it's just maybe that's also true for even everything else. Your very life, your very health, your so yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I could sum it all up and say I even had a moment where I was like feeling really, really sick, and I was like, if I die today, it's okay.
Well, sir, man, I wish you well. And I
Thank
guess
you.
I guess you whatever thought that wasn't the deciding factor, huh? About
Nope.
your day to die.
No, nope. I still got stuff to do on this earth.
Garrett, can you call me again?
I definitely will, Nicholas.
Take it easy, Garrett.
Thank you. Have a great day.
888-775-3773. Can you smile through the pain? 888-775-3773. What else here? Is the time flying that fast? Is that so? Has time truly flown just like that? Kale with the super chat, thank you, man. Says, Nick, is it possible for Trump to be a fallible human or even have some evil he hasn't fully overcome? Or is that not possible because he's Trump? Kale, he's Trump. The infallible healer. What's the infallible great healer and great teacher, Donald Trump. And I laugh. I almost like want to boomer troll you, Kale, in like not answering you, and then you can go out. Not that you would do this. I don't even see you like this, Kale. But go off and be like, see, Nick is just straight up lying to our faces. Like he must think we're stupid. Because I just don't even think. I don't even ask such a question. Because like that's true about everybody. That's like we're all people. I don't even think about such a question. Like, is it possible for Trump to be fallible human or even have some evil he hasn't fully overcome? It's like intellectual, like yeah, duh, in a sense. And it's for that reason that I don't even sit around thinking about such a thing. Now, you may have a different purpose for asking me this. It's like, is Nick normal? But you got to understand, like, they also kind of shows you a bit. Like, I understand the purpose of maybe a little bit. I'm maybe assuming some things. Maybe I'm the crazy one. Like, is Nick normal, or does he just worship this guy? But I just like like maybe your standards are funny. Like he's just like a decent guy who loves America. and like, anyways, but I just don't even consider I don't sit around thinking about that. Okay, what else? buymeacoffee.com/AmericanAcreBaby. Thank you for the coffee, someone. Sorry, buymeacoffee.com/AnchorBaby. What else here? Thank you, Birdie Bow. Oh, that was from yesterday. But what else? What else? What else? What else? Cloud, what's up, Canada in the chat? You guys are funny. So where was I? Vaqueros. I think I'll tell you about this. You know, it's not even like that deep. It's like, this is important reporting. AOC is a liar, and Wikipedias are dumb liberals, and they changed the Wikipedia articles. You know, and actually that part is probably one of the more interesting parts of this whole thing, of this next story. But okay, so AOC is out here laughing at some Republican, thinking she's smart, saying what a dummy. But turns out she was the dummy. So that's the story. She's saying apparently Marco Rubio was going around making speeches, and she's very suspicious when they're going to Munich apparently and making these overarching speeches about Western culture, the West, invoking Rome, invoking Christianity. AOC's like, that's basically, she didn't say this, but that's basically like what, a Nazi. You see how the people think about this all the time online. But basically, she started making fun of Marco Rubio because apparently Marco Rubio said something about cowboys. Okay? Marco Rubio, maybe a cowboy himself. I don't know. Cowboys. Look, it's kind of a deep culture thing. Goes back to American culture, but also Mexicans, the vaqueros. Are vaqueros cowboys? Or are they completely different? No, Nick, a vaquero's never a cowboy. A cowboy's never a vaquero. Even though it's like vaquero is, a cow is vaca, right? Vaquero. So that means you're like, wrangling the cows. You're a cowboy. It's a cowboy. But okay, you're talking about different cultures, and yeah, they have different They have like different. There's some slight differences in, for example, what do they call it? Saddlery, whatever. The leather, all the leather adornments on the horse, which includes the saddle, the rein, and a number of things. They have some different traditions, styles, and ways you might do it all. Whatever. They say they're different. Vaqueros, cowboys, America, Mexico. It's cool. So AOC's, look, the story goes that she's calling him out because he said something about the Cowboys being rooted in Spain. And so AOC's like, my favorite part is when he said Cowboys are rooted in Spain. Speak to Mexicans and African slaves. Trying to say that, that's not where the Cowboys came from. They came from the Mexicans and the Africans. Okay, Cowboys. So she's getting fact-checked. That's what the story is. Cowboys trace their roots to Spanish cattle herders. It's like, okay, so that's the story, whatever. Like, whatever, right? There was something interesting. Someone had screenshotted Wikipedia because this person, Cowboy Gospeler on X, they're saying, well, after folks laughed at AOC for not knowing vaquero history, I knew Wikipedia would alter their meaning to fit hers, so I took a screenshot, and they finally did rewrite it. Wiki removed vaquero from the origins of the vaquero tradition come from Spain. That is actually one of the more interesting parts of the story. The digital rewriting of your information, of your for political brownie points, for dumb political brownie points. You can see on this image, Wikipedia writes, the origins of the vaquero tradition come from Spain, beginning with the hacienda system of medieval Spain. You know, that system is pretty much still how a lot of places outside of the big city centers, South America and Mexico, they pretty much still do this hacienda system. You have this like a center, a church, the municipal building, and the sprawling people. So anyways, where were we? Yeah, that's what this article said originally, and then they changed it. The origins of Hirante, horsemanship. We're talking about vaqueros, Wikipedia. We all know why you switched this. We all know why you switched this. Now suddenly it's not vaqueros. It's Hirante, jinete, horsemanship. Okay? That's why nobody trusts anything anymore. That's why nobody trusts this stuff. But, you know, if I had another comment on this, yeah, the digital rewriting of stuff is interesting. But it was her little comment about the ascent of the right wing. She's basically making, this is a common thing too. They do this big fear-mongering thing where the Christians are coming. They're coalescing. They're trying to turn it into a Christian nation. You know what that means? That means women oppressed, blah, 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 right? And they love to characterize it as this ascent. They'll call it an ascent, the ascendancy of the right, the ascendancy of Christian nationalism.
You are starting to see the ascent of the right, even in places like Munich. Marco Rubio's speech was a pure appeal to Western culture. My favorite part was when
she does a quotation marks for Western culture.
He said that American cowboys came from Spain.
I thought they came from Winnetou, but
I believe the Mexicans and descendants of African enslaved peoples would like to have a word.
I'd like to know what she meant by that one, actually. So, like, so the cowboys, everybody knows about the African cowboy, right? Everybody knows about the African cowboy. That's such a common thing. Everybody knows that, right? I literally never heard of that.
On that. But, you know, I think it's also important to note how thin that foundation is. Culture is changing. Culture always changed. Culture for the entire history of human civilization has been a fluid, evolving thing.
Blah, blah. That's my job.
That is a response to the conditions that we live in. And so they want to take this mantle of culture. At the end of the day, though, is, you know, it is very thin. And so the response that we have to have is, again, it's material. It's
Anchor Baby only slightly better. But look, she already said it, right? Ascendancy of the right. Look, I just had this other comment on it. And then we'll move on. Last few callers that we got to go. This is just my little comment on it. This whole ascent of the right, a Christian nationalism, it's coming. Oh my God, the Christians are coming. They're really trying to characterize something so normal that, yeah, it died out because of immigration, demographic change, and the children of the people in America not caring because the parents stopped caring. But this was something very normal. And I know this just from hearing older people out, reading some stuff. Like, for example, you think that when France openly supported the Maronite Christians over there in Lebanon when all of this was getting created, post-World War I, the UN giving out the mandate for Lebanon to France, and France openly loved the Maronite Christians, saying, hey, we're going to support you guys because you're Christian. Nobody called it Christian nationalism. It was the most normal thing. Today, it could almost be like a quasi woke establishment normie story. If we weren't so anti-Christian, it would just be like a humanitarian thing. We would just be a bunch of people here saying, yeah, of course we love the Maronite Christians. It's a humanitarian thing. They deserve our support, and they're Christian. We love them. It would be like a liberal humanitarian effort if we weren't so anti-Christian. You think and I know this because I was reading diary entries about stuff like this. about those French. You think the French saw it as this big Christian? It didn't seem to me like they saw it as this big Christian nationalist thing either. It was just normal. It was just regular. Yes, obviously we're French and we're Christian, and that's our history. That's our tradition. Duh. And so when we see other Christians, we say we love you, and take our tax money. we're the great liberals, French. But anyways, you understand what I'm saying here? They're trying to make it seem so crazy when it was just very regular, from what I gathered. The ascent of the right, the ascent of Christian nationalism. But anyways, we have merely a few minutes here. Look at the time, but I want to show some time. Give some time to Maze, lovely Maze. I do appreciate your call. I only apologize that it'll have to be so short.
That's okay. I'm used to being short. I don't like to be long-winded anyway.
When
it comes to Christianity and Christians, it's kind of hard to figure that one out.
Tell me about that again. Say that again.
It's hard to figure out when you say Christian. You have so many different ones, and you run from them, and you fear from them, and when somebody speak about them, it's like those that are supposed to be Christians, the heathens, they go into everything except what Christians are supposed to, what Christ-like people are supposed to be like.
And who are you thinking?
Are Christians Christ-like people? Or do they do Christ-like things?
I think they're supposed to be.
But they don't. So then I hear them, and what AOC had to say about the Cowboys, and did you know they used to have black jockeys riding horses and winning races and all of that stuff? And do you believe everything AI has to say?
I didn't know that, but I never I never would have ever thought that's not a thing.
Oh yeah.
But
then,
that's definitely different than being a cowboy, though, right? A black
AI
jockey.
did not. They are cowboy. They are. They have it's called a Bill Pickett
I saw
rodeo.
Django Unchained. I know that they're black
I'm
cowboys.
not talking about no Django Unchained. I'm talking about reality.
I know that black cowboys existed.
So you say?
I don't doubt black cowboys existed.
And it would give you the history of the black cowboys and the Hispanic cowboys, and the Native Americans was one. If you talk about cowboys and different things, but it didn't start with the people
Right,
that
but they were inspired by the Spanish cattle herders.
I'm not talking about
this was a known thing. AOC
so
was
was the
simply
bull.
wrong about that. That's all.
And was the bull? Well, I'm glad what Hake did today for them uneducated people that were talking to him, and he corrected them about some of the ignorant stuff that's on their mind. And I want to ask you this question too.
I missed what you're talking about, but go ahead.
Yes, those guys that was calling him that didn't have a clue. You see, they have history books. The AI is not giving people. Starting back from long years ago, before you were born, and Jesse was born, and everybody else. So if you just happen to have some from your family, and you can still read them and see what happened back in those days, AI cannot tell you anything. And it cannot educate you on anything, can it?
You're not if it didn't know.
It's a version that somebody put.
Yeah, I don't think there's an AI for oral traditions, unless those oral traditions were recorded somehow and read to
most of it
AI.
is,
I think I know what you're getting at.
A picture can tell 1,000 stories. And if you have some of those pictures, that's the truth. If you don't have those pictures and somebody tell you a lie, you're going to believe it. It's like I say, a lie will travel and the truth will stand alone. So y'all keep screaming,
I'm following you so far. Hey, AI can't tell you everything. You made I'm following the framework, Maze. What's the specific thing you're thinking of, though?
What was happening before AI came along?
The same thing that was happening. The same thing that was happening when it came along.
I'm saying, what did you
people were happening.
Wasn't it put in a book? If you don't read a book, you don't know that it exists, do you?
You got to say that one slower.
I said, if you don't read books, look back at history, and when it was done, they had newspapers and everything that was telling the story. You say, you don't have to be, you can be 12 years old and look and see what happened in history and read it on the day that it happened. So I guess that's a lie too.
Well, I don't know what you mean. I'll tell you this, though, Maze. I'll tell you this. I agree with you. AI, if it doesn't have the info, it can't give it back to you. And
that's right. Some information they cannot give to you because they don't have it or don't have a clue. And the person that's doing the AI, do you supposed to believe them too?
Maybe next time you call me, you could tell me what information we're all getting wrong.
A lot of it.
But you got to give me one so we could talk about it. We just simply don't have the time right now. Look at the time we're way
Well, you
over.
don't. Well, I'll call you back another day.
Please do. I'd love to discuss it.
Because some of the brains need help. The ill and uninformed
And you
people.
got to start slow, right, Maze? You got to start one step at a time. So
Okay.
give
I'ma
us
say it like
that.
this.
Give us that piece of info we're wrong
James
about.
James had a few on his show today. The ill and uninformed and had no clue of what's going on.
Well,
because every time I hear them say Obama took a plane full of money to Iran and gave it to them, which is a lie, and then he need to help them out with that story too.
Oh, I thought that was true.
No, it's not true. And you
I'll
can
look
find
it
out
up.
it's not true.
Maze,
You can look it up.
always a pleasure.
You can look it up and see the newspaper and the day that it was written. And have a good one, Jack. Nick.
Take it easy.
Mm.
You have a good day, and all of you at home as well. That's it for me. We done did the whole thing. That's the super chats, the calls, the comments, and the stories. Oh, Lee, hold on. Taylor with a coffee. Coming in at the last. All right, we're going to do this. We can't do this, Taylor. I appreciate it, though. We'll get to your coffee tomorrow. Yeah, this will have to wait till tomorrow. For now, take care. I'll see you tomorrow. That's Thursday open. That's Bible Thumper Thursday, the Hake Report, and more American Anchor Baby. For now, take care. But I'll see y'all on Punchy TV. All right, folks. Bye.
The views, information, thoughts, and opinions expressed during this show are the individual's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of the JLP Network or Bond. Their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The material and information presented here is for general information purposes only. The JLP Network and Bond name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service.